Hello, Opening Pathways viewers. It's Tom LeNoble. Great to have you with me. Today we have Omid Pakseresht. And Omid is, wow, he's got an AI operating system that we're going to learn about today called SEPANTA. And I'm going to learn more about Omid too. Omid, welcome to Opening Pathways.
Hi, yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's great to be here with you this morning for me, this afternoon for you. We're in very different places today. Tell us about SEPANTA and what sparked your idea to start this company.
Um, yeah, perfect. I'm co-founder CEO of SEPANTA. We are an AI operating system. SEPANTA is the ancient Persian root for the word beneficent. She was the goddess of growth and nurturing. So we built SEPANTA because we believe AI should be a growth engine. And the rest of the industry seems to be selling, cutting costs, cutting heads, cutting hours. We think the real promise is to give people agency, not take it away. And where growth is real, that's what we get excited about. That's what we want to talk about. That's something that's really been a part of the origin stories of myself and my brother, let's say building this business together, moving from Iran to the UK 20, 25 years ago, and going through education and work and testing out different businesses and work in different industries and lots of lessons and spotting sort of similar patterns. Really, that's what it was. That's what it was built on, and the values and the why is why SEPANTA is here now.
So tell me this, when was it that you got the moment that you said to yourself, this is my path. I know I'm on to something.
It is it's every day. If I'm being honest, there wasn't a moment. I think I spent the first bit of my career in finance, but I spent sort of 5 or 6 years in technology. Initially, trying my first startup by myself, learning a whole lot about things that I don't know about. And that didn't really that didn't really go as expected. And then I went on this journey to work as the sort of the first product hire with a couple of different founders of AI sort of enterprise propositions that had been through that kind of hockey stick bit of the journey in the leadership before, and they were doing their own thing. So I really, really wanted to learn from them. So that was up until about 5 years ago, and at the same time, my brother Nima had spent sort of 20 years building initially sort of large big data. That was the thing at the time, right? Big data propositions, and then sort of ML pipelines in banking and pharma and so on. And this was just, I would say, about the second wave of lockdowns that was happening in the UK. We really sat down and like, you could there seems to be a lot of noise that's gonna increase as well, and you could do some good stuff with AI, so something slightly better. That's really kind of where it started from. There wasn't a light bulb moment of, let's say, we need to build a platform that has an operating system that focuses on governance and scaling and has multiple products, et cetera, et cetera. It was more the why we wanted to do it and how we wanted to kind of, let's say, this is what we're good at, this is what we think the world needs, and this is what we would want to wake up every day kind of thinking about and building towards. So
Yes.
that's
Tell me this, how have you personally changed since you started the business?
oh, I have um, got a lot more white hair. That's the sort of the starting point. But I think I've just realized the journey of learning is um, is a continuous one. The more you learn, this gets proven to you every day, right? Like the more you learn, the more you realize how much you don't know. I think I've over the last few years in particular, we've had let's say a lot happening as a business over the last 5 years. But I've just realized what really keeps you stick together and still kind of work towards something is actually those values and the trust and the culture that you build. So that's been really something that I would say I would like to learn more about, but that's something that I think about a lot more than I used to.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
as a
Um,
lifelong learner, I love this idea of learning. I often say that I'll be taking my last breath and I'll say, just a minute, I have a question. Um, Tell me this, Owen. Most of us had someone influence us when we were really young. They planted some seeds that grew into who we are today. Who was that for you?
Mm. Um, I would say I would say my both my parents actually. They had an extreme amount of sort of like hard work and resilience. They really cared about sort of other people deeply. Um, and they really cared about being good in multiple ways, right? Being good at their work, being good at how they treat others, etc. I think that did really shape me. They made a lot of sacrifices for us as their children as well.
Yeah.
That I would say was a huge driving factor and still is.
Yeah, I hear parents and grandparents a lot, and then occasionally someone else that was there in those early years. So tell me this, what values have guided you from the start? And is there one that's deepened recently?
Uh, yeah, I would say um, this is interesting. This comes at the right time because we had as a leadership team, we kind of that's a quarterly summit we call it at a tongue-in-cheek way. We were going through our values, and I think one of the really important ones for us, and it's the one that's kind of hard to get the balance right, is the agency and alignment. I think we put those things together because that's the one that helps us a lot uh, move move very very fast when we need to, but also kind of trust each other that it's you know as long as we're aligned and we're going in the right direction and we have the right motivations, then we have agency to get stuff done. That's become, at least at this stage for us, kind of one of the biggest driving factors of getting the balance between that right, and encouraging that as much as possible.
Good, good. Tell me this, where has life asked you to slow down recently?
Oh, um, lots of good questions. Recently, I would say this is uh, I yes, very good question. I got engaged not too long ago. And
Congratulations.
thank you. I'm very, very, very excited about that. But um, that came very quickly as an extreme surprise in the most unexpected of times, and it's a very, very, very busy period of life. So yeah, life has asked me to slow down and enjoy that at the same time. And
Good,
yeah,
good.
yeah, it's
I hope you listen because it's a very special time. It's a very
absolutely,
special
yeah,
time. Good.
absolutely.
So tell me this. I want to know, Omid, about a risky decision you made that paid off, and tell us what gave you the courage to act on that risky decision.
Hmm. Um, I think. I do believe in the fact that ultimately there is only so much information that we can have about a decision, and we do need to rely on our kind of judgment and intuition quite a lot. I think we made a strategic decision as a company uh, less than a year ago. Um, we were kind of building almost separate products, separate standalone products. And we decided that kind of the most, the biggest opportunity is to think about it as a cohesive set of products and a platform and so on, and what is evolved to be at the moment. And what gave us the courage to do that is always a combination of two things for me. It's the risk of not doing it, and the opportunity that could be in front of you if you do it. I don't like the idea of spending a year or 6 months or a day even doing something, knowing that I had conviction to do it differently, but I didn't act on it. So that's kind of one of it. For me personally, that's what drives me the most. When
Right.
you need to validate it. Yeah.
How does Omid decide when to pivot or push through?
I do. Um, I think there is for me in past, at least when I've pushed through or when I've pivoted, there's been the evidence, whether I've seen it or not, has been kind of overwhelming, right? Like if you actually kind of take a moment and think about it, everything that you look at is telling you is the right thing to push through, or is time to pivot. I think that's been but that requires you to be open, curious, ask for advice, test your assumptions, test your own thinking more than anything else. So I think yeah, provided there's enough data points, I would say that you can rely on. But what I've learned is to make sure that I leave space for them. I leave space for myself to think about those critically, whether that's through people that know certain areas better than me or actual numbers. Yeah, I think that's what it comes down to for me at least.
So tell me this, Omid. What is something about leadership that no one prepared you for?
Um, I think so. I've been thinking about this the last few days. It's actually it's a very humbling experience, I would say. That's the part that I didn't really think about. I think the level of uh, trust and responsibility that is put on you, and the type of profile that you're working with, it's it's easy to forget that it's a privilege to be doing that, and I would say that's something that doesn't really get mentioned until you are sitting in a room and you're like, okay, that's this is an extremely humbling experience, and there is a lot of responsibility actually. Yeah, having these people's trust and leading really.
Yes, I think some of us in leadership forget that people are watching us and they're modeling behavior about us. And our simplest words to us can mean something huge to those people. So, yes, it calls us to a different level of behavior and presence, I think. So, tell me this. How do you recognize when fear is information or a stop sign?
Mm. Mm. That is that's something I battle with quite a lot. I do think there is actual power power to fear as well. I think that's an important voice and an important force. I think usually it just comes down to self-awareness, right? So I think there is a lot of, first of all, a fear that persists, and fear that's kind of driven by sort of fundamental external factors. Yeah, that's something to listen to. Fear that is kind of, behavioral and something that you're working on yourself, and is the type of fear that you would have regardless of the situation. It's a little bit easier to say, okay, that might just be me. That might just be me overthinking that way. I think in past when I've been sort of fearful of certain missions, or visions or whatever it may be, where it's not being noise, sort of thinking it through. There's always been sort of an underlying force that that I was kind of like swimming against, and that is something that's yeah, that is something that's worth being fearful of, right? That's something you need to act on, because it's not fun swimming against the waves. That's for sure.
Yes. Here's an interesting thing. I think I've learned that I've shared it here before that for me, fear has become something I realize is simply an opportunity for growth,
Hmm.
you know? So I want to know what impact you are most proud of, not professionally, not publicly, but personally.
Um, I think there are, and I don't know if this is a professional or a public or a personal one generally, but I do think there's been moments and instances there has been, that this idea of hope and opportunity has resonated with people that have needed to hear it, and that I'm quite proud of, right? Because that's what drives me. Um, that regardless of sort of what's going on, and regardless of the outcomes that may be, there is always there is an opportunity, and hope is what can kind of push you through it. And that I think has had a bit of impact here and there.
Good. We manage our businesses with lots of metrics and milestones and data. What I'm interested in knowing from you is how do you define success beyond all that, beyond the data, the metrics, the milestones? How do you define success?
Um, I think, um, yeah, you're right. There is the sort of the metrics and so on, and those are important. But when you, particularly going back to the sort of the leadership thing, when you go in a room and you genuinely feel that the people in the room uh, are doing what they want to be doing, there is kind of no bigger indication of success than that. Because if you have people aligned, people that are actually doing their best work, working towards the same mission, that's really powerful. And that is a sort of a, if there is a, let's say, a feeling or an emotional metric for success, that's the one that I pick up on the most. It's like, is the team now feeling like they're doing their best work and working hard and would really work for this mission? Um, that that feels right.
Yes, yes. So I'm interested to know this, Omid. What boundary have you set that has become essential to your sustainability?
Yeah, I think for me, there is um, yeah, I think there does need to be. I think for me, there does need to be a component of growth in sort of everything that I do, and everything that the company does, and so on. So I think that's been there is a lot of decisions that you could make that can be the sort of the right thing at that moment in time in some ways, but if they don't have the kind of the underlying factor that is this helping my personal growth? Is this actually helping the business grow? Is this focused on something that creates value? If that's not there, it's very, very hard for me to get my head around it, to be honest, and to motivate myself, let alone others. So I think that's been the boundary, and that does mean that you can kind of filter out a lot of stuff that you don't have to do and don't want to do, whether that's sort of personal or professional.
How do you balance being a leader with being a learner?
Uh, I don't really think of the two things as separate, if
Yeah,
if that makes sense. I think to be a good leader, you need to learn about yourself a lot, learn about the people that you're leading a lot, and learn about how to lead. So I think, yeah, I think that two kind of go hand in hand. The sort of the greatest leaders that I've worked with have had a exceptional ability to learn. So I think that's whether that's learning about you or learning about new topics and so on. So I think for me, both activities, is investing in the same thing, really.
like that, like that. So tell me, what's the big vision for the next year or two?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is if we are a, we're building a different type of platform, right? We're building something that's focused on helping enterprises orchestrate growth outside of their organization chart, and that's really something that's a huge sort of greenfield of opportunity that we want to make sure there is enough given to it as well. I think if we can be at a place where conversation about AI is a little bit less about the doom and gloom and all that's going to go wrong, and a little bit more about the opportunities that it is and it can create. And if we can be on the side of it that our own team is kind of excited and happy with that, and, and feel like we are creating that impact, and be part of that. One of the people, one of the organizations that gets thought about when you do think about growth. That that'd be a very nice place to be.
Excellent, excellent. Tell me this. What does renewal look like for Omid beyond just a day off or resting? What's renewal? What renews you?
Oh, I think there's lots of things. I mean, at the personal level, it is um, it's spending time with people, with people that are um, yeah, extremely close to you, right? Whether that's family or very close friends that you go back with. Because what I find is there is a lot, and particularly in the world that we're a part of on the AI side of things, is um, it moves extremely, extremely quickly, right? But going back to family or friends that you've known for 20 years and kind of that consistency of rhythm and trust, that is extremely grounding for me. So that's kind of what renews me.
I love that answer. I'm celebrating a 50-year friendship with someone this year. 50 years. I
It's
actually have a
amazing.
couple that are longer than that, but this person is very special to me, and I agree with you. There's nothing like that when people know you well and they kind of look past anything that needs to be looked past and welcome in who you are because they know who you are. It's really a great feeling. Tell me this, since you started SEPANTA with your brother and have been working on it, what have you learned about trust?
Hmm. Um, I think it's been proven to me that trust um, is really earned over time, and through a repeated set of actions and things that you say that you're going to do, and you do them, and you say the next thing, and you do that. And that's not something to take for granted or try to accelerate or try to force. That's something that you can really only build through those actions. And as soon as you do, I mean, it's a very, very powerful force. Obviously, with maybe it kind of moves when we're on together and so on, and we work with each other before, so there is embedded trust. But as you grow, there is still there's lots of other people involved, and there is also still increasing complexity every day, right? So just learning about what reinforces that trust and those kind of small actions that build up over time. I don't think there is anything that can replace that in building trust, really.
Yeah, I love this idea of doing what you said you would do. What I also like is when we are willing to say when we can't do what we said we would do, that we are able to step up and say, I'm sorry, but I can't do what I said I was going to do. But here's what I will do. So,
I love that. Yeah.
and yeah, if a much younger, much younger Omid were watching this podcast or recording, what would you tell him?
Um, just stop worrying, just stay curious, stay learning, be even more willing to fail. The ability um to really kind of take a negative signal and come back from it and keep going. That is the kind of one of the single biggest driving factors for speed and progress. So that's the one I would focus on more and not be shy about it.
Yeah, I love this. Omid Pakseresht, the CEO of SEPANTA, thank you for being on Opening Pathways. Please tell the viewers again what SEPANTA is and how we find you.
Amazing. So Panta is an AI platform for orchestrating, building, scaling, and governing workflows that are messy, complicated, and typically live outside of the organization chart. We we are a multi-platform AI, multi-product AI platform, and Sepanta SEEANTA.io is how you can find us.
Wonderful. Omid, thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you so much, Tom.
See you soon. And to my
Thanks.
viewers, this is Tom LeNoble, and I'll see you next time.